I know I played this before my show, but I just thought it was a good song, and I still think it's a good song, and I still want to play it again. This is Morrissey's "Every Day Is Like Sunday." I originally heard this song via the Pretenders, and I liked their version a whole heck of a lot. And then a while back, I decided I wanted to do a playlist of days of the week. And I saw this one and I listened to it. I was like, it's okay. I still preferred the Pretenders one, but I put both versions on my playlist. And then it began, when I started playing it more and more at work, began to realize that I like the Morrissey one just as much as the Pretenders one. And then when Ant-Man and the Wasp used it for their movie, which I love that movie and I love Paul Rudd, so I thought, okay, that's pretty cool too. So there we are. So here I am, second time tonight, or today I should say. Dylan Knows episode 2 of 2 live today. I did 4 hours earlier. I did a show about summer movies, only about 30 minutes long. So I want you to absolutely check that out. But it fits within my episode stuff. I mean, I wanted to have a little extra cushion. So if I need to take a vacation or not do it a weekend, I'll still be in line to have an episode kind of being out every week. So, but here I am in my kitchen again. I've done this a few times this year and last year as well. I am home alone, as episode 297 can attest. The name of the episode is Home Alone. I will not be talking about the movie Home Alone, maybe sometime Christmas, which is because Home Alone is a Christmas movie. But no, I'm home alone. Won't be for much longer. My wife and son and daughter are at Scout Camporee, which actually, believe it or not, ironically, is only about 20 minutes from the house. But they are spending the night and they're having activities and doing all kinds of stuff. I think I got I saw a picture of my daughter with an air rifle. So she's learned how to use her air rifle. So pretty cool, I guess. But how the hell are you? Got an interesting show this week. A lot of death this week. Crazy amount of death. I haven't seen this much death in a while. And we're going to talk about that. Also, finishing up my work today, I have three straight China stories as well. Some celebrity stories that are interesting. Animal stories, of course. Disney takes over another interesting thing. The Preakness has occurred, and tragedy struck the Preakness yesterday. And one of the craziest dreams I've had in a while is the subject of today's In Dreams subject, or In Dreams story. Not exactly the word I was looking for, but that's all right. But here I am. So I don't know if you hear any weird background noise. The windows are open in my house, and it looks out on like a little marshy area. Frogs are going at it right now, so you might hear some froggy noises here. Let's see if I can pause for a second. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Maybe when I play this back tomorrow, I'll find out if it actually made it through. But yeah, some interesting things to talk about this week. I'm going to be all over the place because I was originally going to add the summer movie review subject to today's episode, but then I decided to give it its own episode, so my notes are sprawled all over the place. So I've got a full page there, but most of it's taken up with my In Dream stuff. It's about a usual day. So hopefully let's get some stuff done here and see what we got going on. First up, let's talk about the week of death we had. My goodness, it was an insane amount of death. And yes, I know death is random and it happens all the time, but this week just seemed to be extraordinary, I guess would be the proper word. First up, the first of what we like to call the triumvirate. Peggy Lipton passed away earlier this week. For those who don't know, she was on the Mod Squad. She was also a featured player on one of my favorite shows of all time, Twin Peaks. Appeared in all 3 seasons, even the new one that came out a couple years ago. She had her story arc had a happy ending, one of a very few that Twin Peaks offered in their 3-season run. But Peggy Lipton was, her first claim to fame was being in the Mod Squad and then being in Twin Peaks. But she also, and this is, I'm not saying this is a claim to fame, but she was married to Quincy Jones, who is a record producer and helped produce Michael Jackson's Thriller album, which I think is second now. I think the Eagles have surpassed Thriller now for the most albums sold, but Thriller's up there, and Quincy Jones was the producer of it. So, and he's a master producer, and he's still around. Their union created the gorgeous actress Rashida Jones, who was in was it Community, I think, or Parks and Rec, one of those two, and was in the movie with my boy Paul Rudd, I Love You Man, who played his fiance. So there's to that. Then we had Doris Day, the second of the Trinity, pass away almost like a day or so after Peggy died. Doris Day, I never really knew much about. I saw some of her movies before, but it never really clicked on me. And she, I mean, not that I hated her, but she wasn't really, one of my actors that wasn't, was never really front and center in my mind. So, but she was also a musician, according to this. I'm going to flip this in a second. And here's her hit song that is actually in the movie Heart and Souls, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. But here it is. This is just a little snippet of her song, Que Sera, Sera. So that's what she might be most famous for. I probably should have started the episode with this song. So that's what I know her from mostly. But there are a lot of older people, obviously, who know her, and film fanatics as well. So pretty cool that Doris Day lived as long as she did, and now she has passed away and is now living in peace, hopefully. And finally, the Trinity ended with Tim Conway passing away. Now, Tim Conway is still considered to be one of the funniest comedians of all time. I agree. I've seen him a number of times. Carol Burnett Show, a couple of movies he's done before. One of my favorites was The Private Eyes. He and Don Knotts used to do a bunch of movies together, and that was stuff I watched when I was younger because it was appropriate for me. So that was nice. But then you thought, okay, there's your three. Nothing else is going to happen. Well, I was wrong. Next up, we learned that I.M. Pei, a famed architect up there with, what is that one architect? Can't think. My mom loves him. Can't think of him right now, but he is considered to be one of the greatest architects of our time. Created a number of buildings, and I think Lisa Marie Bowman was when he passed away, was doing a dissertation on all the buildings that he created in Dallas. He basically recreated Dallas. So most of the most famous buildings in Dallas were creations of I.M. Pei. So he passed away. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then Grumpy Cat passed away. Now I know Grumpy Cat is one of the first internet celebrities and the maker of many memes, but it was one of those things where just a cat that had a complete look of grumpiness on their face, not of their doing, but just the way that they were born, became a meme sensation. T-shirts, stuffed animals, TV shows, all kinds of stuff came out about Grumpy Cat. 7 years Grumpy Cat lived. So one of my favorite memes is, Grumpy Cat's like just sitting around being grumpy, and then all of a sudden you're like, Jesus Christ, what's that? And it's a furless cat that looks satanic. It's really funny. Grumpy Cat actually also had a comic book, and I had gotten a trade from my daughter because I thought she might like it. And she read it for a little bit when she was younger, but she really hasn't read it since then. But yeah, there's a comic book out there for Grumpy Cat too. So those are the big ones, but they're not the only ones. WWE fans know that the superstar Ashley Massaro, who was age 39, also passed away this week. I don't know much about WWE, but she was a superstar apparently, and she passed away at the young age of 39, which is younger than me, which is crazy that I live longer than a lot of people. Um, and then just because I had to add it, character actor Isaac Kappa, who was in the movie Thor and the Terminator Salvation movie, he passed away as well this week, and he was fairly young also. So we had an incredible amount of death. And there might be a few more that I might have missed. And who knows, tomorrow night on Game of Thrones, we may have a bunch of fictional deaths with the series finale of Game of Thrones coming out on Sunday. Series finale, Big Bang Theory, was out on Thursday. So never been a watcher of either shows, but I'm not going to be one of those guys that says, "Oh, I've never seen an episode of it." I mean, I've wanted to. I've seen one episode. I saw the first episode because HBO was doing one of their free previews when the first episode came out so long ago. Well, it's 8 seasons, but it was like 10, 12 years ago. And we watched it, and Dawn had read the books. I want to read the books, and I want to watch the shows. I've read all the episode descriptions in Wikipedia. So I know the basic story beats and stuff like that, but and I know the spoilers and stuff like that. So, but I just want to see it for myself. Though there's a lot of stuff in it that I'm not a fan of, so we'll see what happens. But there's a little stuff I am a fan of: nudity, dragons, stuff like that. So wonderful. So there's that. This week has also been stupid. Speaking of Game of Thrones. This is the newest dumb thing in the world, and it's been around for a long time, but now with social media, it's starting to rear its ugly head. And the first time it really, really stuck out to me was it last year? No, like 2 years ago, when The Last Jedi came out. And I enjoyed The Last Jedi. I know there were a lot of people who didn't. And a lot of people were thinking that Luke should have been more of a badass, but you have to look at, I was fine with Luke's story arc considering what has been going on and why he would have, they've mentioned that he was gone and stuff like that. So, I understand that. And I hate the misogynistic haters out there who just were shitting on Rose and a few other things as well. Yes, she did a stupid thing, and I did not like that part of it, but that's the story, and let's see where it goes, But that's when I first heard about these idiots doing something like that, where they create a petition to have The Last Jedi stricken from continuity. That was one, and then another one was a GoFundMe page or whatever that was set up so that people could fund people to remake The Last Jedi. And that one was just doomed to failure because you're not going to get the rights from Lucasfilms Limited. This is their film. That's what they're going with. You don't like it. Well, tough. That's art. Deal with it. So then it sort of went away for a while. But now all of a sudden it's come back in a storm of just bullshit. First up was Game of Thrones. Everyone was unhappy with last week's episode, what Daenerys did, and a few other things as well. And a lot of people were just unhappy in general with how the season's been going. So they have been starting a petition to strike the whole season from record and have it rewritten and reshot with competent writers, they said. Again, shut the hell up. You're freaking morons. Then there's also a petition out there to have Brie Larson, who was cast as Captain Marvel, be dropped from Captain Marvel in place of a person of color who's gay. That's just dumb also. I want to see more people of color characters who and gay. It's fine with me. I don't care, and stuff like that. But you don't need to get rid of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. I think she did a fine job. You people are just annoying pains in my ass. And then the newest one is Robert Pattinson, known as Cedric Diggory, and also the dude from Twilight, has been cast as Batman in Matt Reeves' reboot of Batman. And everybody now wants Warner Brothers to, they're doing a petition to have Warner Brothers fire him and hire somebody else. what is wrong with people today? I ask this question all the time, and I know I know the answer, but it's more of a hypothetical question. Cedric Diggory and whatever, I forget the character's name from Twilight. Um, they were roles, yes, and they were famous roles, and yes, they were cheesy roles and stuff like that. But that in no way means that Robert Pattinson is not going to be a good fit for Batman. Now, I'm gonna give you a little bit of, before you call me a hypocrite, I'm gonna little mea culpa here, and I've talked about this before. Back in 1988, when they announced that Michael Keaton was going to be Batman in Tim Burton's Batman film, I was one of the people that absolutely freaked out. That wrote a letter saying Michael Keaton is the wrong casting for Batman. He's a comedian. He's terrible. Why are you doing that? Is it just because Tim Burton got along so well with him on Beetlejuice? It's ridiculous. You need to recast it, because at that time I was 15, and I had a specific thing. Batman. I didn't want Batman to go back to the cheesy Adam West thing, because Dark Knight Returns and Batman Year One and the Batman comic at that time had worked really, really hard to get Batman away from that cheesy Adam West type style Batman stuff, which everybody at the time, that was how everybody foresaw Batman, because a lot of people didn't read the comics. They just remembered him from the TV show. So when they heard that, they're like, oh, that's probably gonna be perfect casting, because he's a straight up comedian. I've forgotten about the movie Clean and Sober, where he had played a dramatic person, and I saw that and I was like, that's not too bad. And I started coming around a little bit, and then when I started seeing the first trailer and I started seeing some other stuff, I was like, this could actually work, I think. And I think they've got it worked out. And then I saw it actually twice that weekend, and I loved it, and I still love it to this day. Yes, it's cheesy, and yes, it's 30 years old, but it's fun, and it's my daughter loved it. It's still her favorite one. I love Michael Keaton. I thought he was well cast. Batman Returns was kind of a disaster because it was all over the place, but that was nothing on Michael Keaton's part. And I love the fact that Michael Keaton still embraces the role of Batman. Hence, I posted a clip from a couple years ago where he was doing the graduation speech at a college, and he said, and there's three little words I want to say before I leave: I am Batman. And he loved that. And he was apparently regaling people on the set of Spider-Man Homecoming about his adventures as Batman. He loved playing Batman, and I absolutely would love to see him be in a Batman Beyond as old Bruce Wayne. I think that'd be perfect for him to do. I thought he was great, and I still love Michael Keaton. So I will have mea culpa there. Before I sat down and thought about it, I said, this guy's going to be awful. And then I saw it. I was like, he's actually not too bad. So seeing some of the pictures of Robert Pattinson and seeing him in that broody sort of thing, you don't necessarily mean there's makeup stuff you do. He might not be that pale like he has been. And he's been years since Twilight. So come on, people, you got to move on from that. Now, the jokes are coming out fast. They want Kristen Stewart as Catwoman, which would be, again, I can't be hypocritical. I don't think Kristen Stewart would be a good Catwoman. Again, that's just me. If they end up casting her tomorrow, once again, it's one of those things that we'll see. But just because of her connection to Robert Pattinson does not mean you should cast her and everything. But that was one of the jokes. The funniest joke was they said, well, then they should cast Ralph Fiennes as Alfred. Because remember, from the Batman Lego movie, Ralph Fiennes was the voice of Alfred. But here's the joke, is that Robert Pattinson played Cedric Diggory in Goblet of Fire, and Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort ordered his death. So a lot of people don't remember that Voldemort actually did not kill Cedric Diggory in the books or the movie. That was Wormtail who did it. It was on Voldemort's order, though. Voldemort says, get rid of the spare. That's what he says. He doesn't kill him. Wormtail does. And it's just been funny to say you should have Ralph Fiennes as Alfred to Robert Pattinson's Batman, just because of the connection there that he ordered his death in the Harry Potter movie. Now, that being said, Ray Fiennes was fantastic as Alfred in the Lego movie, and I think I'd like to see live action Ray Fiennes as Alfred in the Batman movie by Matt Reeves, just because I think Ray Fiennes has that quality that you could truly believe that this guy was at one time a badass MI5 guy, which is what Alfred's background is. He was an MI5 guy who had a deep love of acting, and you could see that also with Ray Fiennes in his theater and his acting ability as well. He would probably be a really good updated Alfred, and I hope that they think about that, not just because of the jokes of Robert Pattinson being killed by his order in Harry Potter, but just because I think Ray Fiennes would be probably one of the best actors I could think of off the top of my head right now, who's British and would be a perfect right age and be a perfect Alfred, has the right build, attitude, and bearing to be Alfred. And he's done it before in the Lego movie. So yes, it was just his voice, but still, he got it. So enough with these stupid petitions, please. Nothing's ever going to get done. A petition has never changed anything. We're petitioning that the president gets impeached. That ain't happened yet. We're petitioning all kinds of stuff that hasn't happened yet and is probably not going to happen. And we need to, keep pushing, but you also have to admit defeat every once in a while. Should I just go in orders? No, I'll do this. I'll skip that. A lot going on in the world of Pokemon Go now. Detective Pikachu has been greenlit for a sequel, which is great. If you haven't seen Detective Pikachu, even if you've never done a Pokemon thing, just go and see it. It's a PG movie. It's quick. It's all ages. It's fun family film. Very cute Pokemon. A really fun, interesting story. Cliched, sure, but I like it, and it was a lot of fun, and it was very entertaining. That being said, in the game proper, Pokemon Go, which is the only game right now, Sword and Shield doesn't come out till November. But even then, they're saying that's going to have some connectivity to Pokemon Go, which is pretty cool. I mean, I don't want to see the Sword and Steel Pokemon in the Pokemon Go world yet, because I'd rather go down in the order of generations. But maybe if you can transport, like you can in Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, transport any of your Pokemon you have into the world of Sword and Stone, that would be fun too. To help out on your journey. But that being said, in the Pokemon Go proper story, it's been a big week this week. Tomorrow is Community Day, Sunday. If you're watching this on Sunday when I post it, today is Community Day, but Sunday is Community Day. Community Day is for 3 hours. A Pokemon is out. There's theme Pokemon every month. This one is Torchic, who's a little baby chicken thing that runs around. It's a fire chicken, and he evolves into Combuskin, who is a fighting fire type chicken. And then Blaziken, which is one of the coolest designed and neatest looking Pokemon out there, is the final evolution. And he will get a special move just for that during the period of Pokemon Go for Community Day. Blast Burn, I think. And to make sure, I want to say it's 3 to 6. As always, but 11 is something that might be something else here. Let me see. News. Here we go. 3 to 6. So 3 to 6 tomorrow is Community Day. Blaziken with Blast Burn. Lure modules will last 3 hours. Might encounter a shiny Torchic, which is why everybody still does it. Let's see who spawned in here. Oh, Eevee spawned. Sorry, I'm going to catch Eevee real quick. While I'm talking about Pokemon Go, I'm going to play Pokemon Go while doing Pokemon Go. The reason why I want to catch Eevee is because Pokemon Go has also just released 3 new lures, which are things that you put at the Pokestops, which lure Pokemon to those Pokestops, ones that you might not normally see and ones you might be looking for. Let's see, are you any good, Eevee? Nope, not likely much, but it's more candy, so I'm good on that. In this case, though, Eevee, who I just caught, is the evolution Pokemon. Eevee is one of those that can turn into not all of them yet, because she doesn't have all the types. There's like 16 types of Pokemon, and right now they have Eevee can turn into Vaporeon, which is water type, Flareon, which is fire type, Jolteon, which is electric type, Umbreon, which is dark type. Geez, I can't think of the psychic type. You're killing me here. You're killing me there, Eevee. Is it? I can't think of it right now. I just got to see if I can find it. And then that was all until recently. We're in the Gen 4, and Gen 4 introduced Glaceon, which is the ice Eevee evolution, and Leafeon, which is the grass evolution. But we didn't know how it was going to play in the game, and they hadn't had them in the game yet until now. And these lures are how you're going to be able to do it. These lures, they have 3 new ones. One is a glacial one, which lures ice and water types, and you can evolve your Eevee into Glaceon. Espeon is the psychic one. And then there's the mossy lure module, which will allow you to bring more grass types to that area and also evolve your Eevee to Leafeon. So those are the new Eevee evolutions. There's one more that they've revealed that comes out in Gen 6. So we got a couple more gens to go before that, and that's the fairy type. And then there's supposed to be a new one or two coming out in Sword and Shield, because that would be Generation 8. They usually come out in the even, so there should be a new one coming, one or two coming out soon. And then they also have a magnetic lure module, which will bring more steel and electric Pokemon to the lure area, and you can evolve your Nosepass and Magnezone, which are 2 types that will get new evolutions from this way. So it's kind of neat to see that as well. There's also going to be Raid Week coming up this week, where they're going to have new raid bosses all week. And also they're going to do Raid Hour on Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m., where every gym in the area is going to have a major raid in it, and you can go to all of them. They're all going to be different levels. And then next Saturday is Lapras Day, which is Dawn's favorite Pokemon, and one of mine too. For 3 hours, you'll be able to just fight Lapras at gyms, and you might be able to catch a shiny. We haven't done one of these in a while, so it should be a lot of fun. So a whole heck of a lot going on with Pokemon Go. Take a Pikachu out now with the new generation of Pokemon coming out in November. Why don't you go out and just try Pokemon Go? It's summertime, spring weather. It's getting warmer out. It's the best time to play it, because Pokemon Go is a game where you need to actually get up off your ass and do something. You got to walk around the neighborhood. You got to go to Pokestops and gyms. A lot of the stuff you get is via walking and exercise. It's also a social way to meet people, get people to team up with you in gyms, and take down the gyms and the raid bosses to get them. We have a really nice raid group here in Reisterstown, and we'll be seeing them tomorrow and all next week, probably during raid week. So that'll be a lot of fun. So just download Pokemon Go to your phone, and you'll be addicted to it shortly. Just go out there and have a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And tomorrow will be a great day, or Sunday will be a good day with Community Day coming up. You can catch your first shiny, and you can see Torchic, and you'll see them all over the place, and it'll be a lot of fun. So it's graduation time. And when you graduate, on top of your graduation cap, some people like to put messages and stuff like that, like "Thanks, Mom, Dad," or "Long live, Spock," or whatever they want to do, or little jokes, or "Thank God it's Friday," or whatever. One person decided to put a link on their hat, which when you go to the link, it links you to all the students who have been killed by gun violence. And that is a good thing, because gun violence in schools is terrible, and more awareness needs to be brought about it so we can do something about it instead of just thoughts and prayers, which is stupid. You need to start thinking of ways to stop this from happening so our children are not scared of going to school. My kids have shooter drills that they have to go through. We never did that when I went to school because we never had that situation. And we need to take care of that. So this is one way to, get people's attention and get people to know that there's been thousands of kids who have been killed in guns violence on school property, not just in high schools, elementary schools, middle schools, and colleges. All of them have had major issues, and it needs to stop immediately. Preakness. I'll come back to my dreams in a second. The Preakness was today. Preakness is the second leg of the Triple Crown. This year, it's been kind of a downer Preakness. They have one more year left at Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore, middle Baltimore City. Pimlico's in disrepair, and no one is willing to fork out money to upgrade it and update it. So the Horsing Administration has said we probably should move this now to Laurel, which would be the first time the race was not at Pimlico in its inception. And horse racing used to be the sport of kings and used to be hugely popular. Not so much anymore, but so there's that. So there's one more left at Pimlico for next year, and more than likely it's going down to Laurel in 2 years. That was one of the things. The second one is, after the shit show that was the Kentucky Derby, with the first ever disqualification of the winner due to a little bit of a cheating, I guess you could say. And then the horse that actually won the Kentucky Derby came ill, so neither horse decided they were going to run the Preakness, so there was no Triple Crown and was not going to be a Triple Crown. So it just sort of became kind of a type of thing. But War of Wills apparently was the winner of this year's Preakness. I usually watch the Preakness. I didn't. I was in the middle of watching movies. I watched Dante's Peak for the anniversary of Mount St. Helens, which was back in 1982, I think. And also The Ditch, which is one of my favorite Australian movies. But a sad news, on Friday, the Friday before Preakness, we have the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes, which is when all female horses run races. And it's like the female horse Preakness. Now, female horses can run in the actual Preakness, but this is all female horses. And unfortunately, bad news hit as a filly died in the middle of the race, had a heart attack, I think, cardiac arrest, and passed away. So kind of depressing, kind of sad, and it's a shame that's happened. On a lighter note, animal-wise, the Tower of London. There was a book I read earlier this year called The Raven Master. There are ravens that actually live at the Tower of London in London. And the story goes that if they ever leave the Tower of London, England will fall and be no more. So they have raven masters there to make sure that the ravens do not fly away, and that they're taken care of, and that the tourists don't bother them and stuff like that. But the Raven Master book is fantastic. It details everything about the ravens and the Raven Masters that you might not have known. But some good news in contrast to what happened at the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes yesterday. The Tower of London welcomed their first baby ravens for the first time in 30 years. So two of the ravens at the Tower of London decided they got a little busy, and they had a bunch of baby ravens. It was not just one, it was like 4 or 5 of them. So it's the first time ever that babies were actually, in almost 30 years, that babies have been born at the Tower of London. So England will continue to exist. Speaking of which, I may as well, since it's a good segue, where are you? Do you want to tweet for the Queen of England? Well, the Queen of England is looking for a social media person to take pictures of royal events, to tweet. So you have to be on Instagram also to tweet news and notes and stuff like that through the official Queen of England Twitter. And the job comes with free lunch, 33 days off a year, which is fantastic, 15% employee contribution pension plan, which is also really good. The the uh, the paycheck you get for that is $38,000 a year, which is not great, but to just tweet and take pictures of royal stuff, hey, you know what? For $38,000 a year and you get 33 days off. I get 15 days off a year for vacation, 33 days off a year, and a pension plan. That's fantastic. And free lunch all the time. Plus, you get to go to all the royal parties and stuff like that, and hobnob with celebrities and people, rulers and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. So if you want to do that, I guess just go to the website and see if you can get it. It's going to be a lot more than just saying, "Oh, I can Twitter." No, they expect some digital experience and some other stuff as well. So just go to that and get a chance to maybe work for the Queen of England. So why not? It's really funny that I actually just saw a tweet from my friend Stardust, who's probably not watching, but because I had a dream about her, but not just about her and her son, and a whole bunch of other people in today's episode of In Dreams. In Dreams. I'm not going to, that's not set in stone. But I've got two In Dreams stories I want to tell you about. First, I'm going to tell you my short one. Chris Hemsworth, him of the Thor. I dreamed last night that me and a group of people and Chris Hemsworth were going to a movie, and I was expecting it to be one movie, and then when I sat down, it turned out to be a different movie, and that's all I remember. That's a weird one, I know, but it's what it is. Now the one with my friend Stardust is a little bit more complicated. So bear with me. It's a long one. So Stardust and her son were living with me, and I would assume about 5,000 other people. This building that we were living in was a massive, almost mansion-like thing, but it was small rooms, but it had like a warehouse, and it had a roller rink and some other stuff, and there's lots of people milling around and stuff like that. And when I first see Stardust, she is doing these crazy exercises. Now, I know where that comes from because I just watched the Cinema Sins of Con Air. And there's a scene in Con Air where Nicolas Cage is in jail, and they do a montage of his exercise regimen with him standing on his head and doing push-ups, stuff like that. Stardust was doing that kind of stuff. Fully clothed, you pervs. So, but she was doing those weird type of things. And we then decided that we were going to go to the mall. Again, I don't know where my wife and my kids were. They might have been part of the 5,000, but all the 5,000 people were sort of faceless people, or people that I've seen, walking around that I have no connection with. So we went to the mall, but the mall was not what the mall basically seemed like it was a city inside a building. There were trees and houses and weird trapeze. That's the word. Trapeze. Come on. There we go. Trapeze stuff, arcades, food places, big giant columns and big stairs that lead to nowhere. And so Stardust goes and does her own thing, and her son and his friend followed me around, and I guess I was in charge of watching them while she went off and did her own thing. So we were walking around, checking stuff out. There was arcades and stuff like that, and I found my comic book store. I found a comic book store I wanted to go to, except the comic book store wasn't just a comic book store. It had antiques in it. It had a quiet room where you couldn't. It was like there was no sound in it, and you couldn't make a sound. People were on headphones and stuff like that, and all kinds of just. But it was a giant comic book store, but it was like comics were just a small section. There was all this other stuff in the store. So I ended up buying some comics, don't know which ones they were, and an REM CD. And so I walked out without Stardust Sun and their friend, and just was, I guess, going back to see her and leave because I got what I wanted. So it's time for me to leave. So as I see her sitting on one of the big giant stairways, just sort of reading or doing whatever, I paused and realized, wait a second, I don't have her son or his friend, and she's going to kill me. So I turned around and went looking for them, went back to the comic store, went to the arcade, didn't see them. I saw them on this big giant platform where there was a trapeze. So apparently it's like a trapeze you could do in this place. But it looked dangerous, and I was afraid that he would hurt himself. So I climbed up this giant rope ladder thing with my comics in hand and my CD in hand, and put them down at the top, grabbed the kids and took them down. And then once I put them down, I was going to climb back up and get my comics and my CD. But as I was getting ready to climb up, there was a group of 4 people, white people, 3 men and 1 woman. They were probably looked like they were in their early 20s, punks as it were. And they were just doing, they didn't know that they were mine. They were just doing it in general. They saw my comics and they started making fun of my comics and the CD, and they tore my comics, and that made me mad. So then they came down the rope ladder and they saw me, and I was like, that's my stuff. And then they ran and I started chasing them. Now, Stardust Sun and his friend were staying behind. So actually they left the comics and the CD at the top. That's right. So I ran after them. And so we ran out of the mall, like across this street. It was like we walked to the side door in the mall, and there was this grassy hill, went down the grassy hill, and there was a road, and there was a house with a bush in it. The guy who had tore up my comics, was making all the jokes, was hiding behind the bush, and the woman and the 2 other guys stopped and were going to take me out, like to fight me, to stop me from going after them. But then I pulled out my, apparently must have had some sort of martial arts ability, because I started wrecking them. I was beating the crap out of all of them. And while I was, punching one guy, the woman was getting ready to attack me with a knife, and I elbowed her in the face and knocked it down. So they were all down for the count. So I ran over the guy hiding in the bushes. I grabbed them and I said in my meanest voice, I'm going to break every bone in your arms, and I'm going to tie your arms together like a bow tie. And the guy started whimpering and crying. I said, I'm not going to do it though, and got up. And the police came. And the police were like, it's white on white crime. Who should we arrest? So I said, they're the ones who started it. And I handed them a card. The policeman looked at the card, and then he knelt in front of me. I can only assume that card said I was a member of the Illuminati. And they knew that I wasn't to be trifled with, that whatever I said was right. And so they arrested the people, the 3 guys and the girl. And then I gave all of them a card saying, if your parents decide to fight me on this, show them this card and it'll be over and done with in 2 seconds. And then Stardust Sun and his friend came and gave me my comics and CD. So they must have climbed back up and grabbed it. And that was what I remember. That I think there was some other stuff going on, but again, I can't remember much because it's dreams. So that was quite a wild dream, and I haven't told Stardust that I dreamed about her last night yet. I think I will after I do the show. But it's not that weird. She is a friend of mine, and it wasn't like there was sex stuff going on. So it was just. What dreams basically are is your mind replaying the day, but adding stuff to it to either make it make sense or make it more interesting or something like that, or utilizing whatever thoughts you have in your head from whatever to mix it up and to make it that type of thing. So that's what your dreams basically are. So I said I could pinpoint where some of the stuff came in. I mean, REM CD. I was listening to REM all day yesterday, on Friday, rather, I should say Friday. And my REM shirt on, everything like that. So I was doing that. Comics, of course. I always love my comics. I knew I was thinking about Stardust and her son because she was doing some tweeting about her family the other day, and that sort of stuck with me as well. And, I seem to have dreams that take place in a lot of similar locations. Now, these were new ones. The building and the mall were new dreams, new locations. And I'm wondering if they're going to start becoming more permanent in my dreams now that I have it in my head. And it's one of the only dreams I remember. So to be continued. Maybe next week I'll be talking about another In Dreams storyline. So there's that. So that's it for In Dreams. Yeah, probably not going to do that anymore. Don't worry, people out there who are sad that Game of Thrones is ending. Did you know that Stephen King actually wrote a young adult fantasy book called Eyes of the Dragon? And I haven't read it yet. I think I kind of want to read it because Hulu just picked it up for TV series. Now, Hulu's one that's been doing a lot of King's stuff. So it makes sense for them to do that. So it could become the next Game of Thrones, except it's not as grown up. So don't know. Speaking of Hulu, though, Disney is continuing their taking over of the world. They have now gained control of Hulu. A lot of people are afraid that that means they're going to shut Hulu down, and because they don't want any competition with their Disney Plus. I, on the other hand, think that's not going to happen. I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to keep Hulu around because it's still a good money generating thing. And that's basically, if you think about it, that's what Disney wants. They want more money. And this is the best thing to do. You're going to have a little more say in what they do on Hulu. And I would start saying that I think a lot of the Fox stuff that they got is going to make its way over to Hulu. The movies, any shows, not The Simpsons, because they already said Simpsons is going to be on Disney Plus, but that makes sense with a cartoon family-oriented type of thing, whereas some of the Fox movies and other TV shows, Hulu might be the best fit for them instead of Disney Plus, since you're already going to have a million things on Disney Plus. You're going to want to focus on that. You're going to need a place to put this vast library that you just picked up. So Hulu would probably be the best place to put all your Fox stuff. You don't want you want to compete. You want to defeat Netflix, and you don't want to compete with Netflix anymore, or you want to compete with Netflix, and you want to stuff like that. That's the best thing to do. They won't be able to get any of the Fox stuff. Hulu will be the only place you'll be able to get Fox stuff. Makes sense to me. People are going to want to buy Hulu then to get the Fox stuff and get the Stephen King stuff. Look, I love the rain. I love the rain. Those of you who know me know I love the rain. I wish it was raining now. Kind of. I don't want my family to be caught in the rain out and camping, but I just love the sound of rain and thunder and lightning. I remember one of the first times I did a show down here. It was my Twin Peaks show a couple of years ago, and there was a thunderstorm raging while I was talking about it. It was one of the coolest visuals out there. So look back about 2 years. Go back about 100 some episodes, and you'll find my Twin Peaks episode that was filmed down here and see the lightning and thunder. It was really, really cool. Scared my son, so he actually was down in the sofa watching with me. Not going to happen tonight because there's no storm, which is great. I mean, it's great that it's not raining so my kids can have and my wife can be dry, but in the end, I kind of wish it was raining and thunderstorms, stuff like that, because I like them. But I digress. What I meant by when I'm bringing all that up is because there is a storm coming that could give California 2 months worth of rain. I don't know. It's a scientific event called atmospheric rivers. and I've never heard of it before. It could be because of climate change. The polar vortex was a non-entity until recently, when climate change has caused all the cold air that was trapped up in the North Pole that would stay up there and get the polar vortex stuff up there and into Canada a little bit, has now moved its way down into the United States and over, due to, in my opinion, climate change, because we hadn't had polar vortexes ever until 5-10 years ago, when climate change started becoming a serious issue. Now we're having something called atmospheric rivers, which I've never heard of before either, but again, could be a byproduct of climate change again. Now, this rain is going to demolish California, who has been, for the longest time, undergoing a horrible drought, and then they broke the drought a few years ago, and now it's starting to rain more regularly, but now this is just too much. So could be a problem for my California fans out there. Also, there is a dam. Where is that? There is a dam out in California also, which could, can't find it right now, which could break apart due to the massive amount of rain that they will be getting in California, and that could flood. I think it's up here. Yeah, Disneyland and dozens of cities in California could be flooded by a dam failure due to the atmospheric rivers coming. So Disneyland and other towns in California, Anaheim is where Disneyland is, and if possible parts of Los Angeles as well, because Los Angeles County is like the size of Maryland. And if these storms are coming and are going to be a major issue, could be a problem. Now, speaking of climate change, Mammoth Mountain on May 16th, which was what, 2 days ago, got snow. Yes, it's in the mountains, yes, but they got a substantial amount of snow. Even the mountains start to get warmer in May. You still get the potential for snow, sure, but this was a substantial snowfall. And that's crazy that that stuff is still going on. Also, for Disneyland, switching gears a little bit, it's the 50th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion, and Disneyland will be doing a 50th anniversary event. See if I can find it. I can't find it. But 50th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion. If I find there, it's Haunted Mansion to celebrate 50 years at Disneyland event. So, if you were a fan of the Haunted Mansion and you think you can survive the rain, the atmospheric rivers, head on out to Disneyland and get yourself entertained by the Haunted Mansion 50th anniversary. A lot of people forget that Disneyland was the first one, and Disney World, though, is the more popular one, is still the youngest one. Disneyland's been around for longer. I've only been to Disneyland. I've never been to Disney World. All right. So my movie theater changed over from old school movie seats to leather recliners, which is great. And they've also gone to assigned seating, which I also like. But that isn't enough for a cinema somewhere. I don't know where this is. A new cinema has decided we're going to get rid of the seats. Instead, we're going to give you a double bed. That's right. So you and your friend or your lover or your family could go to the movies and lay in a double bed while watching the movie. Now, that has a little bit of trouble all over it because people may be getting frisky in the middle of the movie, might start to do some stuff on the bed. Maybe. I don't know. And the fact is, to watch a movie in bed, while yes, it's not bad, but wouldn't you think that maybe it might cause you to fall asleep instead of watching the movie? Don't know. But interesting to think about, and honestly, I don't think I'd want to see a movie in a double bed, even with my wife. Just there's something unusual about that? Leather recliner makes sense. I mean, a lot of people have leather recliners in their houses, so it makes sense. Um, the Parkland shooters survived another year, thankfully. The shooting, I think, was a year or so ago. But they made it through the help of support dogs. Dogs, come around and you pet them when you get scared, or you play with them, and they take care of you and watch you and to make sure you're okay. Um, so to honor them, the Parkland Yearbook that's going to be coming out for them in a couple weeks has a whole section of the therapy dogs. Every therapy dog got their own picture, like in a yearbook photo. Some of them were dressed up in ties and bow ties and hats and stuff like that. So kind of a cute little story. So kind of nice. Have you ever been around people who do nothing but constantly complain? I deal with that at work all the time. I'm sure most of you do as well. A new study shows that people who are constantly complain are harmful to your health. I guess in a way, they're always complaining about something, and it starts making you feel depressed, or hearing all this stuff and just makes you make your stomach hurt, or whatever, or just like, I just don't want to hear it anymore about your complaints, your problems, stuff like that. But it just sort of forces its way into you, and makes it kind of rough. Turn your pet's ashes into glass paw keepsakes. My two cats' ashes are over on that table right over there. And there's a new thing now where you can turn those ashes into glass paw keepsakes. So instead of them being in a box, you can see a ceramic glass sort of paw with the ashes in it. So I guess that's kind of neat, particularly for people who really, really are hurting from the loss of their pet. Let's do a little sex, but not really sex, because Texas accent has been ranked as the sexiest accent in the United States. Yeah, I guess. I don't really hear much Texas accent, and when I do, I guess doesn't really turn me on, I guess. I don't know if there's any accent that really does that. I know English gets some people pretty good, but never thought about Texas accent. I mean, it would make sense because New York accent isn't going to work. A Boston accent isn't going to work. They're not sexy. Chicago accent isn't sexy. Maryland accent really isn't sexy either, to be honest. But, a Dakota, Minnesota, Fargo accent is not sexy. So really, you didn't really have any competition. Texas has a specific accent. South maybe might be the only other thing that might, but that gets a little bit off kilter too. But it's sort of non-news because there really isn't any other accent that would, I think, be considered sexy. And even the Texas one doesn't really seem sexy to me. But well, what do I know? Nintendo brings back the Game Boy Color, but as a retro watch. You have a regular watch that has the time displayed on it, but you can also play Game Boy as well. So that's for fans of Nintendo's Color Game Boy. You can now wear one on your wrist as a watch. Now some Marvel news. The Black Widow movie that will be coming out next year. Everyone was thinking it was going to be a prequel. Apparently is going to take place after Civil War, which actually makes a lot of sense for those who remember Civil War. After the battle between the superheroes, it's Black Widow stands between Cap and the Winter Soldier to get to the Quinjet to go stop Baron Zemo. And she chose Iron Man's side, and it's her job to stop them. In the end, she attacks Black Panther, who is sneaking up on Cap and Winter Soldier, showing her true colors of backing her partner Cap, who she's been through thick and thin with. And after everything that's said and done after that, Iron Man and her have a conversation where he sort of admonishes her and she admonishes him right back and says now that she's done that, the government is going to come after her. And she says something along the lines of, let them come. And she says, you better watch your back. And she leaves. So that makes a lot of sense to after that situation. So you see what happens after that sequence and how she came to be in Infinity War with Cap and being part of his Secret Avengers. So you're probably going to see that creation. That's going to be kind of cool. So I think it's a really good idea. That will be the first Marvel movie next year. Not for almost a full year. It won't be out until probably the first weekend in May of 2020. So, I mean, they haven't even filmed it. They're going to start filming it this month. And it should be done in time. So, also, this has been kind of weird. Disney announced a bunch of dates. You know, they said these are going to be where the Marvel movies are, but they're all untitled, so you don't know which ones they are. So you can make some predictions about which one's going to be which. So you can predict that the Black Widow one is going to be the one in May, and that probably the Eternals is going to be the one that's going to be in July or August or November or whatever it was. But now they have a whole bunch of them. Now, the weird thing is they have this is going to be talking about July 20. I'm not July, about the year 2022. Because I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to be 2021. I think Doctor Strange 2 is going to be 2021 as well. So those, they haven't been officially announced, but I think those are the best choices for that. Or they might be new ones. I don't know. But 2022 is the one that's really interesting. Because there's one report that says Ant-Man 3 is going to be on July 2022, the date that they set up on July 2022. They also say that Avengers 5 may also be on July 2022. Now, I don't buy that one as much because you'd think a new Avengers movie would not be in July. It would be either the beginning of May or be at the end of the year, maybe, to go up against a Star Wars or Avatar movie. And then they say Captain Marvel 2 is going to debut May 2022. So that can't be the Avengers. They're saying Captain Marvel is going to be on May 2022. So who knows? But 2022, if it's those three movies, Ant-Man 3, Avengers 5, and Captain Marvel 2, I'm all in. I think that's a great idea. Locally, kind of, Norfolk, Virginia, an arcade bar and self-serve beer tap bar is going to be opening soon in Norfolk. So you can go back and relive your arcade days. But now, while you're playing the arcade, you can go and self-serve yourself some brewskis. So, yay. Can't believe I drank 2 of these today. The Ghost Rider producer Akiva Goldsmith has picked up the rights to the Atlas comic company to make films. Now, I don't know much about Atlas's characters, and I tried looking at them, and I couldn't tell you who they are. But that might be a good thing because then you're getting a whole bunch of new characters that no one ever heard of before. So huzzah to that, and comic movies are still hanging around there. Here's a sequel nobody ever thought about. 9 to 5 might be getting a sequel. Dolly Parton said that they're going to start filming soon. I don't know how true that is because, to be honest, Lily, Jane, and Dolly are all older, and I don't know how you would do a 9 to 5 movie with the 3 of them as old as they are. Not that they couldn't, but I just don't see it happening. 9 to 5 was, a movie that was not crying out for a sequel, and I honestly hope that, no offense to you guys, I just don't want to see it. Why don't you guys make another movie together that's not 9 to 5? Makes sense to me. Koalas, sad news, are functionally extinct, which means they're not quite extinct, but they're getting really, really close. And that's not good because, any animal that is on the verge of extinction is not good. So we've got to figure out a way to get them off of the schneid of extinction and get back into the good side. Twix and Snickers are going to be releasing chocolate milk later this year that have Twix and Snickers flavors. That actually sounds absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to try it. Hopefully, it's going to be pretty good. I don't know when it's going to be due out, but it should be due out soon. Keep an eye on your grocery store or your local convenience stores. Same with the Pepsi flavored ones I talked about before. They should be coming out really soon too. So keep an eye out for that as well. Reese's, it is actually Reese's Day today. There's an actual day, which I'll talk about in Check I Day, called I Love Reese's Day. And that is today. So here's a Reese's story. Reese's ice cream cakes with peanut butter cup chunks and chocolate drizzle are now out. A friend of mine from Facebook has said, yeah, I had one of those. It was fantastic. So it's out there somewhere. So go ahead and knock yourself out and go for it. Oreo, as always, is going to have new flavors. Good one is, as I mentioned earlier, I think, maybe not this show, but maybe my last one. July 20th, 2019 is going to be the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon mission. I watched the dish earlier today, so that's a Apollo 11 thing. So it's the 50th anniversary of the moon landing this year, and Oreo is going to celebrate by releasing marshmallow moon landing Oreos this summer. Marshmallow flavored cream with a picture of the moon lander on the cookie. I'm gonna buy a bunch of those. S'mores Oreos are back. I told you about those sooner. I haven't seen them yet, but they should be coming really, really soon. I don't eat the Oreo thins. I think that's just dumb, but they're going to have a latte flavored one. And finally, where'd it go? I just had it. Where are they? Oh, they're there. The mint chocolate chip Oreo will be coming out this summer as well, using the mint chocolate chip ice cream that you're used to eating from like Baskin Robbins and stuff like that. And finally, in August, just in time for early fall, Oreo will be releasing the maple cream flavored Oreo, which is another one that I'm dying to try. And it'll get me into the mood for my favorite season, fall. So we'll be seeing that at the end of summer. Colorado bans animal abusers from owning pets. Colorado's been on a tear lately. They've legalized marijuana. They decriminalized mushrooms, the psychedelic mushrooms, and now they are banning animal abusers from owning pets, which is phenomenal. So good on you guys. The Magic Order TV show is coming to Netflix under James Wan. He was the director of Aquaman and a few other stuff as well. Longest time, Mark Millar has signed a deal with Netflix, and we've been wondering when the first projects were going to come out. Well, there it is. The Magic Order is going to be the first project, the TV show based on the comic that has just come out, written by Mark Millar. Robert Downey Jr., Jon Favreau, and Ming-Na Wen are just a few of the many actors and actresses who will be receiving the Disney Legends Award. Ming-Na Wen is a part of the MCU as well, except she's more the MTVU. That's funny. She's on the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. But that's not the only reason why she's getting the Legends thing, because she was also the voice of Mulan. So good on that. Congratulations to them. Pops, and more Pops. I love my Funko Pops. Last week I told you about the history ones, which I'm dying to get for 4th of July, and I cannot wait to get them because I'm a history geek. Well, now Harry Potter, which is great that they have the Harry Potter license, because they've released Pop series from every one of the movies and books, I should say, books and movies. That have come out and that they've done so far. They've done 1 through 4 so far. Now, the 5th series, Order of the Phoenix series of Pops, will be coming soon. They've announced them. We get to see them. So that is coming soon. Also, Stranger Things has a absolutely brilliant upside-down Lego set. It looks absolutely insane, highly detailed, and truly amazing. So I think they say it's out now. So we will check on that as well. There's a Hershey's S'mores caddy available at Target, a caddy that includes boxes that have Hershey bars, graham crackers, marshmallows, spear, the metal fork things that you use to do your marshmallows, I think matches and stuff like that. So it's an all-in-one making s'mores kit. So it's good on that. Speaking of the MCU, the Mandarin is supposedly going to be making a return to the new wave of Marvel movies. I always thought that they treated the Mandarin pretty badly. He's a badass character with 10 rings on his fingers that all have different powers. And I always loved the thought of him using them almost like Infinity Stones, but they were all had different powers, and you can use, ice and laser and sun and grass and all kinds of cool stuff against the villains. So they just ruined his character, but supposedly they're going to be bringing him back, the Mandarin proper, for hopefully with the rings and stuff like that, into the Marvel universe, and we'll see what's going to happen with that. Orange creamsicle flavored Twizzlers will be making their way back this summer as well. So keep an eye on that too. The Moon has got a couple things going on, one fictional, one non-fictional. First up, the non-fictional. We heard, last week I told stories that one of the Mars landers discovered earthquakes on Mars and actually recorded them and the sounds, and you can actually hear them, of the rumblings that were recorded. Well, now the Moon has recorded moonquakes. So we know that moonquakes are an actual thing as well, and they have been recorded, so we know that they are a thing. And on the fictional side, Roland Emmerich, him of Independence Day movie and 2012 and the horrible Godzilla remake in 1997. He's the master, the day after. He's the master of end of the world disasters and following a group of different people as they try to survive. Well, he's doing one called Moonfall, which is really interesting. It's going to take place on the moon and be a disaster film on the moon instead of on Earth. So it could take place, obviously, in the future where people are living on the moon, and you got yourself your own little problems living on the moon and having a moonfall scenario. So that actually might not be a bad film to check out, because it'll give you a new perspective of what they can actually do, natural disaster on the moon. He claims it to be a cross between 2012 and ID4, so I think that's pretty cool. Chrononauts, which is a card game about time travel. Believe it or not, they actually made a card game about time travel. They've done a couple expansions. Well, they're the ones who also created Flux, and Flux has had a whole bunch of different sets, including a Star Trek Flux series. Well, now the Star Trek Flux series is crossing over with the Chrononauts, and they're creating a time travel Star Trek Chrononauts card game coming out soon. And it's going to take a look at all the time travel stories in all the Star Trek lore and use them as bits in this card game. So I think that's a really neat and should be a really cool thing to take a look out and see for yourself. How's this for a movie? You heard of Sharknado. How about Clownado, your newest B-movie love that you can't get enough of? Killer clowns in a tornado. Could totally happen. Can't wait to see that. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, is coming out May 31st. And guess what else is coming? Godzilla, King of Monsters, liquor. 4 different liquors featuring Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, all different flavors, all different things you can do, and they're liquor. So now you can drink your favorite giant monster. Wonder what a Mothra tastes like, or a King Ghidorah tastes like. I'm going to go to Austria. Well, thing is, if you go to Austria, a new thing is going on now where if you go to Austria and you have a rough time, you lose your passport, you get robbed, you lose money, or you need to get in contact with the U.S. Embassy, but you just can't, don't know where it is or whatever, go to your local McDonald's. The McDonald's in Austria are now, everyone is going to be trained. Every McDonald's employee is now trained that if an American comes in and needs help to get in contact with the American Embassy due to an unforeseen issue or problem, the McDonald's staff will be there to help to get you in contact with the American Embassy in Austria. I mean, why not? What's more American than McDonald's? Nothing really, I guess. So I think that's really a good idea to help them get in touch with the embassy if for whatever reason you can't do it or they're not answering or whatever. McDonald's will help you out in that aspect. I think that's a really good idea. Ted Cruz made the news today, or this week rather, when he said that Space Force dun, 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 is going to be needed to take on space pirates. Got shot my bald spot, didn't you? Morons. Your bus is left. Speaking of morons, nude man was arrested shooting basketball hoops. And he told the cops the reason why he was shooting basketball hoops naked was it helped him with his skills, enhanced his skills. So going on a basketball court completely naked, shooting baskets, helps you become a better basketball player. That's 2 in a row. I had to slap myself around. Can we do something that isn't stupid? Yes. Yes, we can. Here's a little history for you, which I didn't even know about till I read this. In 1948, a man decided to play one of the best pranks ever. So he created 2 30-pound, 3-toed lead shoes. He put them on, and at night, he would stomp around in these shoes, 30 pounds, 3 toes, giant shoes, stomped all over our Florida beaches. So at night, so nobody would see him. And then in the morning, people coming down to the beach to go surfing or fishing or get to the beach early to get some sun would see all these giant footprints coming from the water and then walking around the beach and then going back into the water, making people believe that there was a 15-foot tall penguin loose along the Florida beaches. This genius, and I mean that not sarcastically, this was a brilliant prank. He did it for 10 years. And no one ever knew it was a prank. And he did not announce it as a prank, and it was not revealed to be a hoax for 40 years. So I guess sometime around 1988, when I was writing my letter to Warner Brothers about the casting of Michael Keaton as Batman, this gentleman who is now old decided to get it off his chest and say, guess what I did to you guys? And you didn't even know. I made you think there was a 15-foot tall penguin roaming around Florida beaches. And here's how I did it. That's absolutely brilliant and fantastic. And that's the type of history that we need to learn every once in a while. That's why you need to watch Dylan Knows more often. Pitbull dachshunds. Now, last week I told you a little bit about the what was it? The husky corgi cross. They crossed a husky and a corgi and made a corgi-sized husky. Absolutely awesome. I think I have it. No, because I deleted all my stuff like that. Well, now a pit bull had sex with a dachshund, and they created a pit bull dachshund baby. So it's a dachshund shape, but looks like a pit bull. Kind of adorable. Not as adorable as the husky corgi mix, but adorable. Speaking of corgis, there's a corgi cafe out there. I mean, there's all kinds of cafes. We talked about a pig cafe last week. Here's a corgi cafe now where you can go and get, food and drink and have corgis running around. I think I might have talked about this before, but I figured I'd bring it up again. You ever had a bad day? You ever had a day or a person or an event where you just didn't want to be there and or you didn't want to be around them or you wanted to, you know, embarrass them, but you didn't want to do it yourself? Talk to Kyle. Kyle is a guy who's gone on Reddit and other stuff as well, offering his services to, excuse my language, fuck shit up for you. If you want to crash a wedding, but you don't want to do it yourself, hey, pay me. I'll show up without being drunk with alcohol, make lewd comments, stuff like that. If you want to fuck shit up, go ahead. If you want to screw around with an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, I'll help you screw them up some way. Either come to their work, mess around with them there. I'll do it for money. So good on you, Kyle. Keep it going. Do you like tequila? I don't like tequila. There's a few people I know who do like tequila, but there are some people who are obsessed with tequila. If you're obsessed with tequila, here's what you need to know. There is a tequila hotel. Now, I've been showing and talking about other types of hotels out there. Hotels, you be in wine barrels, and hotels you could be in a stagecoach, and what was the one? It was like a mushroom or some sort of other type of fungus or plant or something you could live in, and then cool stuff like underwater hotels and all glass hotels and stuff like that. Well, there's a tequila hotel that sits on the grounds of a tequila distillery, and you can sleep in a giant tequila barrel. When you go into your room, which is in the giant tequila barrel, your bed will have a tray filled with tequila shots. If you go into the bathroom, you will see bottles of tequila on your sink. So if you're the big tequila fan, go to this distillery, don't know what it's called or where it's located at, and spend the night in a tequila barrel. Finally, one thing's, and I still got one more, not finally, because I still got like a half a page of stuff here on the other side. One thing that I hate about comic books is that Marvel and DC are always looking for the next big event, or they're always restarting over with a new #1 or stuff like that. Well, apparently they're doing it again. Marvel's doing it again. They are going to be canceling their entire X-Men line, and they will have Jonathan Hickman, who is a good writer, by the way, will be coming in and will be rebooting all the X-Men comics. So just a word of warning, if you like the X-Men and you want to get back into X-Men, you might want to wait till this fall, I think, when they're going to be doing the reboot. I'm not going to probably pick it up unless I see who the creative teams are. Even then, probably not, because I need to start saving more money to buy a car and some other stuff as well. Now we come to the China portion of our show. 3 straight stories based in China, and they're all different. China is vowing to crack down on funeral strippers. I should have named today's episode Funeral Strippers. It's an actual event where, in order to not be so depressed and sad at the funeral of a friend or a family member, you can hire funeral strippers to come out, and they will dance around the coffin and the dead body, and they will strip for you. Help you with your grief, I guess. But they're starting to crack down on that, so get it while you can, I guess. This is just a really fun idea. A kung fu school and a taekwondo school allegedly had a brawl in a Chinese mall. And that's just funny that a kung fu school goes up against a taekwondo school. So you have these 2 schools who are both learning different types of self-defense moves, getting into a massive fight in a Chinese mall. I would have loved to see that. I think it would be freaking awesome to see kung fu taking on taekwondo. I think that'd be pretty cool. Finally, the last part of our China story. Cotton candy clouds are a new thing now in China. In China, you go to a coffee shop, you order a cotton cotton candy cloud, which is a coffee that you put on your coffee saucer. And then directly above the coffee cup, you have a cotton candy cloud. So the heat from the coffee starts melting the cotton candy and turning it back to regular sugar, which falls into your coffee. It's science. A man uses his wife's Snapchat filter. You know, the new thing now where you can turn yourself, a male can turn into a female and a female can turn to a male. Well, this guy turned himself into a female, took pictures, posted them on Tinder, and trolled about 300 men. That's catfishing to the extreme, baby. This one was kind of interesting, and you'd think that it really wouldn't make that big of a deal because you'd think someone would say something. I said, Detective Pikachu, again, I cannot reiterate. If you've never been interested in Pokemon or have never seen a Pokemon thing, go see this movie. Go see Detective Pikachu. It's a fun, PG-rated film, all ages, family fun. It's got Ryan Reynolds' voice as Pikachu and a great cast and wonderful CGI and the adorable Pokemon all over the place. I guarantee you your family will probably enjoy it. It is a fun film. So recently in a recent theater, a group of people were sitting down with their family to watch the lovable, awesome Detective Pikachu. The theater, unfortunately, accidentally showed the horror film La Llorona, and it traumatized the kids who wanted to go see Detective Pikachu. Now, that got me thinking is that the minute the credits came up for La Llorona, or the first scene of La Llorona where you saw it wasn't a Pokemon and no mention of Pokemon, whatever, I would think at least one person would say, wait a second, this isn't right, and would run out to the theater and say, you've got the wrong movie showing, shut it off and put the right one on. But apparently they didn't do that right away, and toddlers were traumatized by this horror spectacle that was La Llorona or whatever. Going into Pokemon again, playing Pokemon as a kid may have helped your brain to evolve. I don't know how, but that's what a study says. And hey, I'm playing Pokemon now. Is that helping my brain evolve a little bit? Maybe a little bit. That's why you need to go see Detective Pikachu, and you need to sign up and start playing Pokemon Go on Sunday for Community Day. The perfect day to start. A man was imprisoned for 28 years after a woman dreamed that he raped her. That is dumb. How can a dream convict a man of rape? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and whoever sent that man to jail should be disbarred right away. Say I dreamed of killing somebody, or I dreamed of sleeping with someone who isn't my wife. Does that mean I cheated on my wife? Does that mean I committed a crime? No, it doesn't. It's a dream. It's synapses in your brain popping and showing things that you might not normally do in real life, but you can do in a dream state because you're sleeping and your brain needs to be entertained because your brain is always working. And if it has to shut down, it can't shut down because you'll die. But I mean, it gets bored when you're sleeping because you're not doing anything except sleeping. So it creates these pictures and images to entertain itself using your memories. So I don't understand how that could have even happened. Speaking of weird stuff, a woman broke into a house, pet the dogs that lived there, sat down on the sofa, looked around, decided, I'm going to wash the dishes. and this is appropriate story because today is also Do the Dishes Day also. I'll talk about that later. And did the dishes and then left. Still committed a crime. You didn't steal anything, but you still broke into somebody's house, though, so you need to do the crime. But who walks into a house intent on stealing something but decides, I'm going to pet this dog and wash their dishes? Maybe someone who's on drugs. I don't know. So I talk about Disneyland. Well, here's a Disney World story for you. They're going to be opening the new Star Wars land, I think sometime this summer, I think. And everyone is dying to go see it because it's something brand new. It's Star Wars, and it's going to be crazy busy, crazy packed. So if you're going to Disney World, just be aware it's going to be insane the first few months there. However, Disney decided they're going to try something different. They're going to have people dressed up as stormtroopers enforce a 4-hour limit in the Star Wars world, which doesn't make any sense to me because you're probably going to be waiting in line for 4 hours for one ride. You know, you should allow them to take a look around as long as they want. I understand why you want to move people along because you want to get as many people in and out as you can. But 4 hours, unless you can control the lines to all your events and rides and stuff like that, so that they're not 4 hours, so that maybe like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, then okay, maybe I can see that. You want to move people along, move along, move along. Nothing to see here. But there will be people dressed as stormtroopers say, all right, you've been here for 4 hours, get the hell out of here before I blast you. This is pretty cool. A New York softball pitcher pitches a complete game. Now, I don't know how many innings it is, but I'm going to go by regular baseball. Let's just say it's 9 innings. I don't know if it was 7 innings, whatever. Let's just say it's 9 innings. So a complete game is they pitched all 9 innings. They faced the minimum 27 batters, 3 outs per inning, 3 outs in the first, 3 outs second. So 3 times 9 is 27. So you only face 27 batters. Of course, you might face them 2 or 3 times, but still 27 batters. And you got all them out. It's a no-hitter. It's a complete game. And you got all 27 out. Well, this woman did something insane that's never been done before, not even in softball, and definitely not in baseball. She struck out every single batter in her complete game. In this case, let's just say it was, as I said, a 9-inning game. She struck out 27 batters. Now, if it was 7 innings, she struck out 21 batters, but still just as impressive. Just as impressive. No one has done that before. Striking out everybody in a complete game. Complete games are cool on their own. That's my wife. We then watched the edge of the storm pass over us, and then boom, gone. Miss you. Yeah. So 27, let's just say it was 27 batters struck out. A complete game, 9 innings. Perfect. That's a perfect game. So congrats to her. Speaking of staying with sports, Texas A&M had their track meet. And one of the track stars, his name is Infinite Tucker, I think was his name, or Infinite Trucker or something like that, Tucker maybe, was running the 400-meter hurdles. So there's a lot of, jumping and running and stuff like that. So after he got through all the hurdles, he's running to the end line, and he's neck and neck with another runner from another school. So in order to win, Infinite does the most crazy thing in the world. He leaps to victory. So they're getting close to the end line. They're going neck and neck. And Infinite goes, whoop. It's legal. You hurt yourself, but it's still legal, though. Interesting. A tiny 9-foot-long relative of the T-Rex has been discovered. So that's kind of interesting. Wild baboons decide to drop into some dude's swimming pool and have a pool party. Again, I'm telling you, animals are doing their own thing, and I think that's fantastic. Uh, a husband gives an ultimatum to his wife. He says, "Me or the dogs." So the wife chooses her 16 dogs over her husband. Guess that's true love, I guess. Don't know. Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing a event in South Africa, I think, about exercise and stuff like that, and he was taking pictures with his fans, selfies, stuff like that, when some dude runs up behind him and kicks him in the back. Didn't really phase Arnold, but still, who in their right mind would attack Arnold Schwarzenegger? The guy claims later he didn't know who it was. Or no, it was Arnold who said he didn't know what had gone on. I think he said that he thought maybe someone, there was a crowd of people and they just happened to run into him. He said, that happens all the time. Reminds me of when Teddy Roosevelt, after he was a president, he was doing a speech and he got shot in the middle of the speech, but not where he could die. Instead, he kept doing his speech and then went over and beat up the guy that shot him. So Arnold didn't do that. He just didn't know what had happened. And then I guess the police security grabbed the guy and arrested him. And then Arnold's like, what the hell just happened? And then they told him, it was like, oh, I just saw some dude, group of people running into me. It happens to me all the time. And he just kept on going like nothing mattered. It's Arnold, though. What do you expect? Gene Simmons of KISS delivered a briefing at the Pentagon podium this week. It was a speech about meeting with a group of people as part of Pentagon's initiative to engage the public with regular updates to military activities. But why Gene Simmons? I guess because he's a friend of the president, I suppose. I've talked about all different types of bouquets. Flowers are so passe now. There have been puppy bouquets and cotton candy bouquets and stuff like that. Well, how about donut bouquets? Well, some woman decided she wanted to have a donut bouquet and so had a bouquet made of donuts. Okay. Avengers Endgame will be passing Avatar's gross domestically. So it will become the highest grossing film in the US history. But a lot of pundits and experts are saying they don't think it has enough legs to pass Avatar in the worldwide best, most highest grossing film of all time. They say it's going to come short. It's going to be close, but it's going to come short. That's to be continued. We'll find out for sure. It's only 3 weeks. It's still going to run for probably another 3 weeks. Probably your numbers are going to drop. Obviously, John Wick 3 was #1 this week, so its numbers are dropping, but you're still making money, and it still goes to the overall gross, and you're still being played overseas as well. So we'll see what happens. But they just are thinking, probably not going to happen. Feel Real VR is a new game where you can feel and smell stuff going on in games and movies. So if you put the VR helmet on and you're walking through the woods, you should be able to smell the scents of the woods and stuff like that, and animals and stuff like that. It sounds kind of weird. I don't know what, I guess it'd be movies that were made special for the VR helmet, because I don't think you could, put on a VR helmet and say, watch Dante's Peak and smell the magma and the ash from a volcano, nor the coffee in Linda Hamilton's store. Though maybe, they just say, hey, in this scene, let's pump in a coffee smell. Or this scene, let's pump in a ash smell or whatever. So finally, Skittles, which is my second favorite candy, is going to be releasing 3 new Skittles flavors this year. Imposter Skittles, which has been out before, where you have, the green, orange, purple, red, yellow, stuff like that. But the yellow one, which you think is lemon, might actually be grape. And the purple one might be lime, so that's imposter Skittles are coming back. I think they've been out before. Sour Wild Berry. Now they have sour Skittles, but now they're going to have sour wild berry Skittles. and that's kind of interesting. And this is really interesting. Freezer Pop Skittles, which might be good. So it's using the flavors from Freezer Pops that you get during the summer, will now be available in Skittles format. So that is all for that. Real quick, anniversaries. Today is the anniversary of the, I guess, 82. So that make it 82, 92, 37 years ago. Mount St. Helens erupted. That's why I wanted to watch Dante's Peak. So that was something. We haven't had a major volcanic eruption in the United States since then. There have been some in Iceland and other places, but not in the United States. 1986, the movie Short Circuit came out this week. I love Short Circuit. It's a great Steve Guttenberg movie. And also Ali Sheedy's in it, and John Badham directed it. And it's about a cute little robot. My daughter liked it, and that's all that really matters to me is my daughter likes it. It's cool. In 1992, the video game Castle Wolfenstein came out. It's a computer game, I should say, and it was the advent of the shoot 'em up game. Castle Wolfenstein has you from a POV standpoint going through a bunker, shooting up Nazis with machine guns that you find all these types of guns and knives, stuff like that, and you make your way through this maze of the bunker to find your way to kill Hitler, who has been reborn into a robot form. I have actually completed Castle Wolfenstein. So it took me a while, but I was able to do it. Hitler was a beast to kill. But it was back when I was living at home after college, and my stepdad Roger, he had it up on his computer, and we both played it, and we both completed it. It's cool. That was the creators of that created Doom, which is the same game, except instead of it being Nazi bunkers, it's mysterious temples on other planets with monsters coming at you. So it's a cool first-person POV, kind of the first games where you have that sort of aspect to it that became hugely popular. And finally, 2001, we have two things going on. The movie Shrek came out this week. I remember very well because I was working at the radio station in 2001, and we did a premiere, not this day because today is when it came out, but a couple days earlier. In 2001, where I got my wife, at times she's my girlfriend, and her best friend's boyfriend were able to come and see the movie with us as well. It was over at the movie theater that no longer exists over here. There's an Owings Mills one that was down called Town Center, and it's no longer there. Valley Center, I should say, which is no longer there. That's where we saw this movie for the first time and enjoyed it, and the rest is history with Shrek. And my favorite band, REM, as I told you, I was playing them all day yesterday. I had my REM shirt on. Their album Reveal came out in 2001. What's great about Reveal was that Reveal is considered to be an underrated film or underrated song. Underrated album that was post Bill Berry, who was the first member to leave REM. And it's actually a really good album, and it's also rightly considered to be what we call the summer album. The songs have a decidedly summer bent to it. And there it is. So I'm going to okay. So I'm going to do the Check ID. All right. My friend Stardust, who I dreamt about last night. I'm going to tell her I dreamt about her and see her reaction to that. All right. Check ID for today, May 18th. I got to get past the 19th stuff because they like to post the 19th stuff early. May 18th today is Armed Forces Day, Culture Freedom Day, HIV Vaccine Awareness Day, I Love Reese's Day. Yeah, it's a real day. I Love Reese's Day. Let's check it out. Today we celebrate the candy that brings chocolates and peanut butter together, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, as well as the man who created it, Harry Burnett Reese. In 2010, Hershey sponsored an online petition to declare May 18th as I Love Reese's Day, and it was signed by 40,000 fans. May was chosen as the time because the holiday would then be sandwiched between National Peanut Butter Lovers Day in March and Chocolate Day in July. As part of the first celebration, Reese's gave away 10,000 Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. In 1917, H.B. Reese began working on a Hershey dairy farm, and in the early 1920s, he started working at a Hershey candy factory. At the time, he began making candy in his basement, in part because he was well on his way to having 16 children and needed to make some extra income to support them. He used various fresh ingredients and coated them in Hershey's chocolate. Blah, blah, blah. More history about it. How to observe. Celebrate the day by eating Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and other Reese's treats. They don't just need to be eaten plain. You can use them to make something as well. But yeah, it's always going to be on May 18th. So that is, officially, I Love Reese's Day. Done. Is International Museum Day, also is May 18th. Mother Whistler Day is May 18th. National Cheese Souffle Day. National Learn to Swim Day. National No Dirty Dishes Day. Of course, I still have dirty dishes there, but I didn't do that. National River Cleanup Day. National Visit Your Relatives Day. Preakness Steaks. Send an Electronic Greeting Card Day. One second. There we go. Electronic Greeting Card Day. World AIDS Vaccine Day. World Whiskey Day is today also. Yesterday, May 17th, was Endangered Species Day, International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia. May 17th is International Virtual Assistance Day. May 17th is NASCAR Day, National Bike to Work Day, National Cherry Cobbler Day, National Defense Transportation Day, National Mushroom Hunting Day, National Pack Rat Day, National Pizza Party Day, National Walnut Day, is O. Henry Pun-Off Day was the 17th. World Hypertension Day, World Neurofibromatosis Awareness Day, World Telecommunications Information Society Day. May 16th was Biographers Day, Brown Baguette Thursday, Hummus Day, Love a Tree Day, National Aperitif Day, National Coquel Saint Jacques Day, National Mimosa Day, National Notebook Day, National Piercing Day, National Sea Monkey Day, National Wear Purple for Peace Day, HG Awareness Day. And then tomorrow, the 19th, let's dig all that up. See, there's some good stuff on the 19th. World IBD Day, World Baking Day, Stepmother's Day. So I got to reach out to my stepmother and wish her a happy Stepmother's Day. I guess last week was Mother's Day, so this week would be Stepmother's Day. It makes sense. Of course, you should celebrate stepmothers on Mother's Day as well. Pesach Sheni Day, National Hepatitis Testing Day, National Devil's Food Cake Day, National Asian and Pacific Islander HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. May Ray Day is tomorrow. Celebrate Your Elected Officials Day. I don't think so. And Boys Club Day. And that is it. And that is the end of Dylan Knows for this week. Next week is Memorial Day weekend. So I will probably be doing a episode, obviously, because I have a 3-day weekend. Hooray! And I cannot wait. This week cannot go by fast enough, and then it'll be officially summer with swimming, and there's going to be Lappers Day, and there's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So on that note, I'm going to say good night. It's just about 2 hours. Thanks for watching the second episode of Dylan Knows. Next week, I'll probably be back in the basement. I'm still contemplating possibly doing a Facebook Live show called Capsule Movie Reviews, where I will do a movie review real quick on Facebook Live, not long, 10 minutes maybe. Still determining that as well, so we'll see. So keep an eye out for that as well. I think now it's time for me to shut down and maybe let Stardust know that I dreamed about her and her sitting on these weird steps, and see what her reaction is. And it wasn't anything sexual. It wasn't.